Reignite your intuition to show to grow your intuitive self. This episode is about where I talk why I am an introvert and how I learned not to pretend to be an extrovert. My name is Angela and I'm your host of the show and a highly intuitive person by birth who never lost her connection. I am the expert in supporting you, regaining your intuition and living a fulfilled and much easier life with it. Trusting fully your intuition takes time and is a very individual process. I share with you my knowledge and strategies I have developed to support yourself on a daily basis in any situation. By signing up to my freebie, you can support yourself to connect with your intuition. Go to angelahack.com, choose podcast in English, and there you'll find the link. This topic, being introverted, being extroverted, is fantastic. Why? Because so many people think they're extroverted, and they're not. They just pretend to be. It's their, as I call it, survival mode. Me, myself, and I, my three personalities actually have that too. Okay, the three personality part was a joke, okay? I am an introvert since forever, I'd say. I'm very, very introverted. And I become more and more an introvert, but in the meanwhile, I like it. In the meanwhile, I adore it. In the meanwhile, I really appreciate the fact that I'm an introvert. It gives me the chance to take the breaks I need to recharge. Funny enough, I've started pretending to be an extrovert so young. When I was 17 or something around that age, my parents had a huge party at the farm, and I was at acting school in Zurich trying to get a place there to be educated in acting. And I remember I was at home and I came home, I was supposed to go to the party, and I had a hard time to breathe. I had a hard time to get myself together. And a friend of my dad's came in and was like, "What the hell?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's hard to go over there." And he looked at me like, "Why? You're always the fun part of the party. Everybody loves you. When you enter a room, everybody looks at you." And I looked at him and was like, "Yeah." And when I expected the worst, parties were usually the best, but still, I didn't feel comfortable. When I have any family gatherings, any places where we're invited for parties, anything, I do the kitchen part. I do the cleaning, I do the taking away of glasses, I do the refill, I do everything I can not to be just there. I have a role. When I have the role of serving or something, I feel safe. This might sound funny right now, but as a matter of fact, I do feel safe in these moments because then I know what to do. My dad has a huge family, so our gatherings are usually 30, 40 people minimum. I used to help in the kitchen as soon as I was allowed to. When I was smaller, I used to hide in my dad's office, as he had an office at his parents' place. So I showed everyone that I'm an introvert, but I pretended to be an extrovert. And when I was 14 or something, there was the time when you have to choose what you want to learn, what job you want to do, or if you want to go study and everything. And we had this talk at our table in the kitchen, my mom, my dad, me, and my godfather. He was actually in this business to support young people for their studies. And I went to his place and made a lot of tests so they had an idea what I am, smart, not smart, whatever. The result was very simple. I was incredibly smart, but school-wise I had not very good teachers. And I could do the gymnasium, which is high school, and then go study, or I could just work. This topic was actually done within a second after my dad just said, "She's like me, she's lazy at school." Yeah, he was right, but at the end I studied. So there was then a discussion, am I an introvert or am I an extrovert? And I remember sitting at this table and feeling like less than naked. It was just like I was down to the bones. And my mom and I are having a very intense relationship in both ways, which means we love each other dearly. But at that age, mom was just too much. I think that was really the age. So my mom was like, of course, she's an extrovert. And I did not react. I was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And the moment she said that, my 3-year older brother stepped into the kitchen, opened the fridge, did the typical thing like getting food. Then he stuck his head out of the fridge, looked at us, was like, no, she's definitely an introvert. And I never forget that. Because he showed me that I try to pretend something to be someone that I'm not. And that I'm totally allowed to live my introversion part. And I just had this survival mode. And a lot of us have this. And I really, really think it is important to allow ourselves to accept these survival modes. And in the other side, to be fair enough with us and be like, okay, survival mode here and there. But we don't just do it just to have it done. When you're not sure if you're an introvert or an extrovert, guess what? That's so not important if you ask me. I don't care if you're an introvert or an extrovert. I care if you take care of you. And if you realize I need time for me, then take the time for you. And if you realize that you don't need time for you, then don't take time for you. If your battery is charging better with going out with others, okay. But be honest, especially with the going out with others part. It's fun to go out with others, etc. But are you really recharged or not? The main part that's needed is your honesty towards yourself. And I really think it's important to make sure that you are honest with you. Because nobody else can be honest with you. Okay? I think it is, for example, for me, it is super easy to talk here in the podcast. For me, it's super easy to say what I think in the podcast. I have zero problems to make live videos. But to go to an event, I have learned to go to events. I've learned to network. But if I'm not having a good time or a good day, then it's much more power using, let's call it like that, than in general. For example, not long ago, I was at an event and I'm actually I'm a supporter of the organization. That means I'm making the welcome, give them their name tags, etc. And then in the presentation round, I am the one who lets the list go down. You know, like 1, 2, 3, every name, tuck, has an eye on the time, etc. I did that not a long time ago and I was not having a very good time back then. And after that, I was so exhausted, I left the place within like half an hour. I was so exhausted and I knew I have to go. I asked a friend before it started if she feels like having a drink afterwards, but then I've decided no. I skipped that one. I can't. I need me time. And that's what I mean with please make sure that you take care of yourself. Please make sure that you do what's right for you. Please, if you are an introvert, accept that you are an introvert as well as I did accept that I am an introvert. Now, meanwhile, since I may actually have accepted it, it's so much more fun. It's so much easier to live on that one. To live on that one, I'm sorry. Because I know myself and that's good. And I respect myself and that's very, very important. That doesn't mean that I never jump out of something and be like, okay, let's do the extrovert quickly. But I'm well aware of it. And while I'm deciding it, it is much easier and less stressful power and energy-wise. It's using a lot of my energy, but not as much as it could just because I have changed my inner way to look at things. So please make sure, if you don't know if you're an introvert or extrovert, doesn't matter. Make sure to love yourself, to make sure that you find the way how you can recharge your batteries the best. With others, without others, doesn't matter. It has to be right for you yourself and nobody else. Are you ready for reignition? Yes? go to angelahack.com, choose podcast, and find the link for the freebie. Or go on my page, book a free call with me, and find out how your reignition is going. Thank you for listening to Reignite Your Intuition. If you like my podcast, please come back, tell friends, feel free to share with others, comment, and whatever you feel like. I'm looking forward to welcome you again.